Give me a break, I say. If you were so worried about me knowing your plans, then you would have never allowed me to find out about the Minotaur in the first place. If you have any reason to think that I might somehow leak the information, you can just tell me that you're looking to hire the Minotaur as the army's accountant and leave it at that. It's not like I can verify the information that you give me anyway. So you're not completely stupid after all, Pyron says with a smug. That is a relief. Well, in that case, as you have said, the Minotaur will be joining our accounting team as soon as he completes his training program. I'm expecting great things from him in the months to come. Araka laughs. If I were you, she says, I'd make Minotaur do the accounting anyway just to mess with him. I hear the jobs that do not involve physical labor are considered to be the most dishonorable by Minotaur standards. I'll keep that in mind, Pyron says as he knocks on a wall with his staff and the secret path opens up in front of us. You really know your way around these tunnels, huh? I tell the goblin as we all enter the hidden corridor. Fyron spends a lot of time exploring hidden passageway underground ruins, Iluna says. His hobbies are not much different from those of Flower in that regards. Now, Iluna, Fyron says. There is no need to insult me like that after all. Isn't it due to my so-called hobby that we have managed to remain undetected thus far? I would appreciate if you refrain from comparing me to your dim-witted companion over a small similarity as such. Oh, Iluna says, did you forget perhaps that it's thanks to my dim-witted companion that you're able to build that staff of yours? We would have never met in that cave 20 years ago if not for Iluna's unrivaled stupidity. And he laughs. Araka laughs. I still remember your face when you woke up in the middle of the cave surrounded by fire elementals. I can't believe that she actually fell for my bluff. Just thinking about it makes me burst into laughter. So Araka tricked Flower into thinking that she needs to go into the cave but got surrounded by fire elementals. Okay. Hello, we hear a voice coming from a dark corridor to our right. Is anyone there? Can you hear me? We all stop suddenly and we look towards the corridor, attempt to find the source of the sound. The voice seems to have come from the end of the tunnel, but it's much too dark to see anything clearly. If you can hear me, please help, the voice says again. I've been trapped here for months. I'll do anything you want, please. The goblin says that he creates an orb of light with his staff, then he makes it flow all the way to the end of the tunnel. Is it in the tunnel that we are traveling in currently? Then where the fuck were we going? Just to this cell? We clearly are surprised by it, so definitely not our aim, but okay. Now we get a closer look. We see that at the end of the corridor there is a locked cell which holds only one prisoner, a tiger. Were you the one calling out to us earlier? Fyron says, asks the tiger. Yes, the tiger asks. Please let me out of here. I'll do anything you ask. Oh, the goblin says with a mocking smile. Are you certain that it's a good idea to be addressing us in common like this? I heard that the old fox is executing anyone who dares to speak in this language nowadays. The golden fox can go to hell and so can her rules, the tiger shouts. I'm never going back to that horrible place again. You do not wish to return to the fox domain? Pyron says, but what other place is there for animals like you? Who else is going to protect you if not the spirit fox? I don't need anyone's protection, the tiger says. The goblin grins. Is this why you're in a cell alone begging for help then? He asks, because you don't need anyone's protection? The tiger lowers his head and he does not say anything. Let me see if I fully understand this fully, Fyron says. But when you're hinting so far, I'm assuming that you have abandoned the fox's domain long before you've been captured. Am I correct? Yes. Tiger says with the head still lowered. Were there any other animals captured alongside with you? Fyron says. No. The tiger says, I've been living by myself ever since I left the sacred woods. I see, Fyron asks. He then makes his orb of light float closer to the iron bars of the cell and the light from the orb begins to fade. Fyron says, as I suspected, the cell you have been placed into restricts the use of magic. Should I take it that you're a mage then? I am, the tiger says. The goblin grins again and he turns his gaze towards me. It appears that I'm in Luckberry, Fyron says. I must have just found myself the perfect candidate to lead my army's accounting team. What do you think? Does he look fit for the task? I'm going to tell it to you straight. I don't see him holding pens anytime soon. That sounds retarded. I see that it didn't take you long to adapt to our human small talk. Could you stop calling them accountants? Beginning to sound confusing. I'm gonna go with this one. I see that it didn't take you long to adapt to our human small talk. That is because your small talk is not too different from what we used to call goblin politics not so long ago, Fyron says, but they have changed since then, I asked them. No, Fyron says, simply took over. I'm sorry, the tiger says. What was it you said you wanted me to do again? The goblin laughs. Pay us no mind, he says. We are only jesting, although we did say that you'd do anything I ask. So you should not act so surprised, even if I made you arrange desk papers for a living. I suppose, the tiger says. Iluna, could you take care of those iron bars for me? The goblin general says. The anti-magic properties of the cell do not seem to spread beyond these bars. You should be able to slice them with your water whips on the outside. Very well, Eluna says. She then conjures two whips made out of water that she appears to be holding with her hands, and she uses them to slice the iron bars into pieces. "You're now free," Byron says, looking at the tiger, who's now walking out of his cell. "And by this I mean that you're free to do my bidding. I really do hope that you are not planning to betray me and rejoin the fox immediately after we get out of this place." "I assure you that is not going to happen," the tiger says. Goblin says, "May I ask, what is that fox? What is it that the fox have done in order to lose your loyalty to such a degree? Why would you still refuse to go back to your homeland even after all this time has passed?" "I have my reasons," the tiger says. "See, that's not very reassuring," Fyron says as he points towards the tiger with his staff. "If you're going to give me vague answers like that from the very beginning, was to tell me that you didn't in fact make up that whole story about leaving the fox's domain just to gain my sympathy." "The fact that I'm speaking to you in the common tongue," the tiger says. "Explain," Fyron says. "Leia, the great golden fox," the tiger says, "has a habit of interrogating all of the animals that return to her domain after a long period of captivity. One question that is always asked, as if you'd spoken to any humans in common while you were away. There is no way to hide the truth from the great fox. As long as she is studying your aura, she can easily tell if you're lying or not. Even if I weren't an exile, like I said, going back to my homeland now would be nothing short of suicide. She would execute me on the spot. I admit that I have heard of the fox's interrogations," Fyron says, "but I assume that she would make an exception for mages and for other valuable members of her community." "The fox does not make exceptions," the tiger says, with a look in his eyes that seems to show both anger and terror at the same time. "I should think the same as you before she murdered the leopard's son in cold blood." "The leopard, I say? You mean Leo the leopard?" "Yes, that is who I was referring to," the tiger says. "He was our most loyal retainer, he is, but that did not stop her from executing his cub for the heinous crime of begging for his life in common to a couple of human hunters. The leopard may have accepted her judgment, but I never will." The tiger pauses for a few seconds, and then he repeats himself in a lower voice. "I never will," he says. Fyron says. "Now things are starting to make more sense. If the fox later also executed your family in a similar manner to how she executed the leopard's cub, I can see why you would choose to leave her domain forever. That would also explain why you left your homeland by yourself." The tiger is looking pretty angry after hearing the goblin's words, but he chooses to remain silent. "You've said enough," Fyron tells the tiger. "At the very least, I would find it very unlikely that you would return to the golden fox after all you have just said. Regarding your debt to me, I ask only that you accompany me to my goblin camp on my way back. If the life there is not to your liking, that you may leave at any point. However, your debt to me paid. Consider debt to me paid. I am, however, quite confident that you will choose to remain." "And why is that?" the tiger asks. "You will understand once you get there," Fyron says. "Now follow us. There is still another prisoner that we need to rescue before we can leave this place." "Another prisoner?" the tiger asks as he joins us. We all resume our walk through the caves. "You don't mean the Minotaur, do you?" "Who else could I mean?" Fyron says. "Is there anyone else here that would be worth the effort of releasing?" "I suppose not," the tiger says. "The Minotaur is likely the only prisoner from this place aside from me who is not some mindless beast." "I'm curious," I say. "You say that all the creatures trapped in these caverns are mindless beasts, but I've also seen some saber-toothed tigers on my way here. Do you feel the same about them too?" "Of course I do," the tiger says. "What kind of question is that?" "Well, they're tigers," I say. "No, they aren't," tiger says furiously. "They're saber-toothed tigers, not tigers. How can you even compare the two?" "Barry is not from Varathia," Luna says. "Believe it or not, in the continents outside Varathia, there isn't much of a difference between animals and creatures. A tiger from the western continent is just as much of a mindless beast as a saber-toothed tiger." "You can't be serious," the tiger says. "On the contrary," Luna says, "I'm quite serious. I do not know if the high level of intelligence shown by the animals in Varathia is due to Golden Fox's influence or due to some other factor, but the matter of fact is that Varathia is the only place in the world where animals can speak. It is the only place where they live in civilized societies." "Ha," Araka says. "How does it feel to know that there are animals out there who are dumber than ogres? Do you think you were anything special? I'm willing to bet that the people from outside of Varathia would not even be able to tell the difference between you and a wild beast. To them, you're nothing but a mindless creature, no different from a harpy or a giant slug. Isn't that right, Barry? But it is a bit hard to treat them like dumb animals when he can speak common. Yes, to me he is no different from a harpy, a giant slug, or a banshee in an amulet." Yes, creatures and animals are all the same to me, to be honest with you. All of these are bad options, to be honest with you. Yeah, creatures and animals are all the same. That sounds wrong, considering they are intelligent creatures. Yeah, to me he is no different from a harpy, a giant slug, or a banshee in an amulet. That's taking a slug at Araka. Well, it's a bit hard to treat him like a dumb beast when he can speak common. I suppose I'll go with that. Don't worry, I have an easy fix for that. Just ignore what he says. If you don't pay any attention to him, you'll find it much easier to treat him like an animal. Oh, I'm sorry, did I say animal? What I meant to say was creature. I always get the two mixed up. Who the hell is that clown from the amulet? The tiger says. Some sort of prankster spirit? That's rude, Araka says. You should not assume I'm a clown just because the girl wearing my amulet is dressed in a clown clothes. Don't they teach you manners in animal school? As unbelievable as it may sound, Luna says, ignoring Araka, the banshee trapped in this amulet is the one responsible for the exile of all the banshees to the earthen plane. The gods didn't want to deal with her, so they banished her here, along with all her kind, or so she claims. So they are in the spirit realm, right? Not exactly in this world. I mean, she is, but most of them are not. They're like stuck between worlds from where they originally were, I'm guessing, or something like that.